Hi, I'm recently Lahamvi. This presentation will discuss the next step of our web development project, which will incorporate server-side scripting with PHP to improve the functionality of the website we established in Assignment 1. In Assignment 1, we concentrated on developing a user-friendly online interface using HTML forms to collect quiz attempt data. We are now taking it a step further by incorporating server-side PHP scripts that will analyze and store the data given via web forms, allowing us to develop a comprehensive and dynamic website. So here we have the homepage as we developed in our previous assignment 1. Here, as you see, all the web pages are hyperlinked to each other. The specialty in this assignment is that we have used command.include files for the HTML part of the menu, for the footer, and as well as the header. So let's take a look at those .inc files that we have included the header, footer, and the menu. First of all, we have the .inc file that we have used to create the menu part here. We have used the division class navbar index here to create the class to include the CSS. Also here we used an unordered list too. The session in PHP is way of temporarily storing and making data accessible across all of the website pages. If it is set, that means the user isn't logged in. While of the conditions in the statement is true, it defines that the user is logged in, it displays login link. If both conditions in the statement are false, it displays logout link. The HTML code points to the file named login.php and logout.php. So here is the footer.inc file that we have linked to each and every PHP page that we have created. So the each and every PHP page will have the following coding embedded to it. Here we have included the relevant links in their respective images. Here is the header.inc file that we have created to include the header part of each PHP file. Also, there is the char set keywords and the set of authors of the web page, and we have linked the CSS file to the web pages here. So now I would like to hand over the rest to Kavisha to explain about our quiz page.
I'm going to explain the basic actions of the quiz page. This page has the menu and the footer. The quiz includes fields where personal details and related questions are asked. Here we have to enter the first name, last name, and student number. For example, we can enter the details like this. Then I'm going to select some answers for these questions. If the user is not happy with his answers, he has the ability to press the reset button. When pressing it, all the entered data will be gone. Like this. Then we can add student details and provide answers to these questions again. Submit answers. So on the PHP, it's going to generate the following query, which consists of the user ID, username, the score achieved, and the number of attempts. The user can return to the quiz by clicking on here. Here we can see the database of attempts, which includes name, student ID, score, and the number of attempts. Again, I'm going to fill out the quiz like previously. errors like this. Now I would like to hand over the rest to Hansel.
Thank you, Kavisha. I am Hansa Sulochana. So here I am here to explain the basic action of the supervisor pages. So here initially under our database we have the user information. Here the user information we have a username and a password of the supervisor. For example, let's take the second one here, Hansa 123. Let's enter that here to instead of Hansa. I am going to take to make a different username which is not included in the database of the system. So once I click on the enter, a message pops at the screen saying that the username or password is invalid because we did not properly enter them. So this time we are going to properly enter them. Now you can see that we have logged into the account of which we want to here. We can see the attempts table of the student who participate in this quiz. This table will further show your student number, student attempted, and the attempt number of student, including your score. So here, but in this page we can further modify our page on how you want to by changing the sorting procedure of the table indicate below. This sorting has multiple ways, namely sorting by date, alphabetical order, and more. But there are more as well as you could ascend or descend according to which you select in the top column alphabetical order, as you can see. Now let's sort it from the score as 1 in is done. The student order of alignment will change according to which you choose on ascending or descending bar. So let's try the last name now. Now as you can see the printer letter are here D, S, and this go to the alphabetical order. And here as you can see the student who have got less than 50 on their second attempts has been listed here as well. So now to the lift of function, as you can see will get of list all the students who have taken the quiz, as well as you could check the student who got maximum marks out of their first attempt, as well as the student who have got less 50% in their second method could be checked. We could filter the student by searching the attempts taken or by searching the student number here. Now we will enter the student number of one Shikar. As you see, now we get the data of student of which we searching. This will include all his details, the student number, attempts, date, and time. Also this page has ability to delete any student information or attempts, as you will see right now. Now this is done by entering the student number of which you need to delete. Now you will now a message will pop out in the page saying that the student details have been deleted fully from the page. As you can see, there are no evidence as to which any person name code the person you delete has attempted or even went by the quiz itself. Here also we have a supervisor action to update the scores of the student. Now you can do this by taking the student's number and the attempts number, and now you can enter your new score from the quiz and click on update. This will update your score sheet. As you can see, the score has been updated here. So now we are going to press logout, and now the supervisor will be logout. I would like to hand over this conversation to Sitara.
Thank you, Hansa. It's PHP. Connections PHP is used to establish a connection to the MySQL database using MySQL command extension. Server name, username and server is set to corresponding to the MariaDB server and the password is set to the MariaDB password. Quiz PHP. The post method to send data to the markup quiz PHP. No validate is used to prevent any client-side invalidation before submitting data as the aim to validate via the markup quiz PHP script. Mark quiz PHP. So, when talking about the mark quiz PHP, the code begins by establishing the connection to the connections PHP. The student name, last name, ID and the answers for questions are retrieved from the quiz next to via this block of code. Each question and the personal details section within field sets are input types, names and IDs, where the names will be made equal to sets of variables, naming the question 1 to question 7 in the mark quiz PHP. Here, using if statements, the server-side validation is done. As you can see, the student ID is checked for having either 7 or 10 digits. First name and last name are checked for having only alphanumerical characters, either capital or simple, and allows maximum number of 30 characters. Using if statement, the variables question 1 to 7 checked with the correct answers matching for the correct questions. A score variable is initialized to set to 0. If the answer is matched, the score is increased by the amount inside the if statement. Error messages are prompted, elsewise if the entered data does not match the format defined. The next code checked if the database comprises of the table. If not, table is created within the if statement. The number attempt variable is initialized to 1. Using a PHP query, the attempt data is inserted into the attempts table in the database. The login PHP. Session start will start a new session establishing a connection with the database connection. Login is coded to the post method, hence the data is submitted to the database and checked. Connection PHP file is included to establish connection to database. The post action retrieves the submitted user and password queries to validate if the provided username and password is matching. If a match is found, login variable is set to true and redirect to the managed PHP. Error message is displayed if the match is not found. Logged out PHP. Session start function will start the session. The code logs out, the supervisor is destroyed by their session. After logged out, it redirects to the supervisor to login page. And statement is used to achieve this to this. Session destroyed function will erase the current session which effectively. Boolean rules is returned if the function is erased successfully, false is returned if not. When session is terminated, harder function will call the login PHP again to prompt the supervisor to the login page. Now, I would like to hand over the rest to Chamat to continue.
Thank you, Sidara. I'm Chamat Javir. I'm going to explain about our manage PHP code. First, we can see session start function will begin the session. This part of the code check if the user is not logged in by equation into the session variable. If the logged in variable is not set true, which means the supervisor is not logged, user is directed to the login page within the if statement. Next part of the code display the supervisor screen. This part of the code makes two dump down menus for the certain functions provided from the supervisor. From this code, it is checked if the supervisor has submitted the certain functions and retrieves the relevant data certain by odd options. This query function is retrieving all the attempts data from server and displaying the website. Check if the SQL query was extruded successfully and display all the attempts detail table. Then this SQL query display all the attempts data with 100 score by order from the attempts date and time. And this query display all the attempts with less than 50 marks from the second attempt. This is the end of my presentation. I would like to hand over my presentation to Kavinder.
Thank you, Chamath. I will be explaining the PHP and SQL part related to the web processes of the supervisor's page, while the supervisor deletes, updates and sorts the student attempt table. Initially, the session is started. The code for displaying the form to enter the student details will be created from this block line of code. And here it is checked if the form has been submitted. Then the matching data to the student details will be retrieved as an SQL query and will be made to delete all the record attempts table where the student number variable is equal to the student ID variable. Using an else statement, the code will prompt displaying the delete attempt is not successful. Otherwise, it will display that the record that the attempt was successful, and it will delete the record of the student ID selected. Now let's take a look into how the sorting process is done from the manage_filter.php. This block of code will create a HTML form which will allow the supervisor to search the student attempts, where the input search data will be submitted to the same PHP coding file itself. So the next supervisor input data is processed and the result will be displayed of the students. Search term for the submitted form in the form data will address a SQL query to search records in the attempt tables where the student number variable or the first name variable matches the entered search data. Using an else statement, if the entered data doesn't match the data entered, it will display the message no records matching in your query found. If there is a database connection error, it will display as could not execute. And other than that, the results will display in an HTML table ordered by the selected sorting type and in the selected type of ascending or descending orders. If there are matching student IDs submitted by the supervisor. Now let's take a look at how the manage_update.php allows the supervisor to update the score of a student in a specific attempt. Initially, the session is started and the block of code ensures that only the logged in users can access the page, else it redirects them into the login page. The next HTML form displays where the supervisor can enter the student ID, attempt number and the new score is created from this line of code. The next data entered will be processed. The student ID, attempt number and the new score will be retrieved from the data, which creates a SQL query to update the score to display in attempts table for the relevant student ID and attempt number. If the process is successful, a message is prompted stating the action was successful, and in case if there are errors related to the database connection, the error message is prompted. This concludes the short video presentation for assignment 2 in Computer Systems project. Thank you for watching the video and have a nice day.